Well, welcome everybody to Cathy's Picks Live this December day. Thank you so much for those of you who are joining us live and those that you will be watching us later. We're thrilled to have you, and especially during this busy time of year. For those of you who haven't met me yet, my name is Cathi Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers, and every month we bring you amazing guests and different people that we talk to. Anything that has to do in the photo organizing, memory keeping, legacy, storytelling space, which is just an amazing, it's just a real privilege for me to meet so many interesting people. I'm excited today to introduce you to Natalie Rodrig Verter. She's the CPO and co-founder of Photomyne, which is a scanning app that many of you may already know about. If not, you'll learn about it. And I didn't realize that they had a co-founder was also a woman. So I was excited to hear her story, and I'm looking forward to introducing her in just a minute. So she's going to talk to you about how they started Photomyne, how it works, how you can use it with your photos, slides, and negatives, and then also some success stories. At the same time, if you're new to watching us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really helps us build credibility, and also if you please list any questions, we'll leave you plenty of time to answer your questions. So in the chat, we'd love to have that, and we'll be sharing more information as well with you. And so now let's bring on Natalie, and let me introduce her so you can welcome
Hi.
Natalie. We're so glad that you're here. So I got a little back end information from Natalie about how they got started, and it was fascinating. So I want to hear that story. So please tell our audience how this idea that has grown, and then also how many subscribers and people that actually use Photomyne. But tell us the beginning story of Photomyne.
So first, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. So Photomyne started about 10 years ago. That's a long time. We are four co-founders. We were all working at the time in different places and looking for our next adventure before even having the idea of Photomyne. And we all knew each other with mutual friends or working together in other places. And we used to meet in a cafe once a week and discuss and think of ideas. And I didn't have kids at the time, but the other three guys did. And I think Neil was talking about how his kids have hundreds of photos taken, digital photos, filling his phone. But his kids never saw pictures of him as a kid, and how he just had a handful of albums of his whole childhood stuck somewhere in his parents' house. And we were discussing, we all had iPhones. We were all talking about how great the camera of our smartphones is, and how this could be a personal scanner that could help them digitize our old memories. And I think we all related to this idea. Each one had, I don't know, some connection to photos. I know as a kid, I used to love looking at old albums of my grandparents and parents, for hours. And that could keep me busy. So this is how it started out. And then we created a prototype and worked on the algorithms. I'm a designer in my background, so I was in charge of design and user experience, taking the user a very untrivial path of using the phone as a scanning, and then guiding them on how to take care of the photos later is a challenge. And that really evolved throughout these 10 years to what it is today.
As a designer, are you responsible for the fun little part when you scan and it sends little confetti to tell you yay?
Yeah, definitely. Throughout the years, we keep on adding all kinds of fun effects.
Yeah. So what I love about asking this question for those in the audience that are listening too, it's not often that I think a lot of times we can feel very disconnected from all the apps on our phones or all the different companies that we interact with out there. But every company started with an idea and a need, right? And the fact that you got together in a coffee shop with three other friends, and I think you said some of them were in kindergarten. You knew one of them from kindergarten or something?
I used to be a high school friend of Neil, our CEO. That's how I got to know
Okay,
him.
a high school friend.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the other guys were like parents in the same kindergarten.
Yeah.
So really personal connections brought us together.
Yeah. And then you created a very personal, a product that is also very personal in many ways, right? Because when you're dealing with something as important as family photos and the stories that are kind of locked in all those amazing photos, right? It's a, you're building a product that is really can make a real difference in people's lives, right? And I think,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. So that's so tell us a little bit how, for those that are some of us that are on this call that are new to Photomyne, tell us how it works and what makes it different from other photo scanning apps. Because at this point, there are others out there on the marketplace, but I think you all have been probably one of the first, or certainly probably most well known. But tell us about that.
So when we were building Photomyne, we knew it's kind of a difficult task, the whole scanning process, and we wanted to make it as simple as possible. So I think the main part that makes us unique is the option to scan a few photos at a time, and that saves a lot of the time, especially when you're scanning hundreds and thousands of photos, which most of our users do. They use Photomyne for like a huge amount of photos. So with one click, you can scan a whole page, a whole album page, and then the app can, just with that one click, detect and crop each photo separately as a separate file. And then with the same click, the app goes through the photo and sees if it needs perspective correction, if you're scanning with an angle, and then rotates it if it identifies that it's sideways, and also color corrects, like basic color correction, because we saw most of old photos deteriorate in the same way. They get like this yellowish, brownish tint. So the app kind of fixes and brings it back to the original coloring we imagined they had. So with one click, everything you scan gets this first enhancement. And then there are other things the app helps you do in more manual ways, like colorize black and white photos or sharpen blurry faces. Another thing that makes us unique is that we contain different types of scanners in the same app. So we have dedicated algorithms for scanning photos and dedicated ones for scanning slides or film negatives. So it really takes care of the whole photo collection you have at home. Some have negatives that were never developed. So it's like having like your personal black room of developing photos all in one app. Oh, thank you. So we can see here in the background how the film negative mode works. So with just one snap, it cuts the edges and inverts the colors. There's also some color correction here to make it look like the original. So that's real magic.
Yeah, and I would imagine that was not. It seems so easy when you look at it from the user perspective, but I would think that from the developer perspective, there's a lot of technology to make that work, right? To make that even possible.
Yeah, so these are all patents, registered patents that we developed, and they're all based on AI. So we have to like train the machine, first of all, to understand how to distinguish a photo out of a whole page, because there can be different rectangles on a page. Some are inside the photo and some are the boundaries of the photo. So you have to show the machine an enormous amount of different kinds of albums and different kinds of albums and different kinds of proportions of photos. Because we have users worldwide, and you could see albums in Scandinavia, for instance, look different than albums, I don't know, in South Africa, for example. I mean, we have all kinds of types of materials people scan. And it's all machine learning and AI.
So are you using AI now? Today, we all know about AI, but 10 years ago, I don't even know if the word was used and so you were using AI machine learning that long ago.
Yeah. It was pretty advanced, and I think that's why we could register these patents, because we were our first to do so. And we used to like manually ground truth, like go through scans and teach the machine what are the four corners of a photo to help distinguish.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Um,
It started out like that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were actually. Do you have photographs of those years, or you should hopefully, but you hopefully documented that that.
Well, I do have the documentation of the ground truth, and also, I mean, it's funny to see the interface as it was 10 years ago and what it became today. It's really evolved dramatically.
Were you also? Well, a lot of things people don't realize either in app development, but you have to develop two different. There's iOS for Apple, and then there's the Android app, Android store. So those are two totally different. I don't know if it's different technologies, right? But it's two totally different processes to get accepted in both. Did you start out in both?
Yeah, we started with iOS. I think naively, just because Omel, our developer, was an iOS developer and he had experience in that field. But we also knew we wanted to go for a membership business model, and that was much more acceptable for the App Store. And till now, our main audience is iOS. But we do, of course, have an Android app, and we develop it separately, but we try to keep it like feature parity. We first start with iOS, and whatever is successful there, we build on Android as well.
And for those of you that don't know, when I say that, I really, iOS means Apple, your iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah, your iPhone.
It means your iPhone
and iPad.
And then in your iPad, yeah. And then Android would be all the other phones that everybody has. So
yeah, most of the world probably.
That's let's see. There were some problems so what is it that you feel that you're founded to help people connect with their photos and things. So what is a problem that you feel like it's part of your mission that in having a mission as a company is really important, right? To keep you, especially in the hard days or whatever, you got to stay focused on, why you exist and things. So.
Well, if you think about it, so ever since the camera was developed in the 19th century, the 20th century actually, till the early 2000s when we had digital cameras. So it's, think of all the photos that are out there, but will just get lost if we don't digitize them. And we're used to seeing the previous century through the eyes of professional photographers, like what photos did we see of events before we were born? I mean, things in the press or in books, but we're not exposed to personal moments of people's lives like we are today with Instagram and Facebook. I mean, do you know how a breakfast looks like in the 1960s?
Yeah.
Or what people look like if it's not an arranged family photo where everybody gets dressed nicely in a special event. So like intimate moments, which we're not used to seeing. So we believe that if we give people this powerful tool that everybody has, like the smartphone that can become into the scanner and easily digitize and make all the printed photos of your family into digital files. So they have digital, we can start sharing them, having them accessible on our phones, searching for them easily if we want to. And I'm thinking of my family photos. I mean, our albums belong to me and my brother and my cousins and my parents, but we have only one copy of each album. So once digitized, they can now be shared and belong to everybody, to be passed on to the next generation. Right. So there's so many possibilities once these moments are digitized.
Yeah, and it's fascinating to see, like you said, the history that we don't realize. I remember finding a photograph of my mother and my aunt and my grandparents all dressed up with white gloves and dresses, and he had a hat and a suit. And my mom, I didn't know this, but she told me that's how they used to get dressed to go to the airport. So they
really?
My grandfather was going back to Germany where he was from. And so it must have been rare to even probably take a flight in those days, but yeah, they were like they
Yeah,
were a
exactly.
major event, and they were, you know, you think about how we get on airplanes today, or you know, like
Yeah.
uh,
And it's amazing to see, like, worldwide, the same photos of like family photos. Doesn't matter if it's Europe or Australia or the US. And I mean, it's really nice to see
yeah.
humanity.
I always
Same
say,
way.
you know, just doing this business as a photo manager, we work with, you know, thousands of families as well, helping them organize and digitize their and share their stories.
Yeah.
And I always say that we're so much more alike than we're different. If the world would be such a safer place if you asked everybody to just share, you know, their 5 or 6 photos that
Mm-hmm.
they care most about, right? It's going to be, for the most part, we know it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a parent or somebody who they love deeply that impacted their lives. It's going to be a wedding or a, you know, a celebration, a life event of some sort, right? It's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
child, it's going to be children of some sort. It's going to be nature or something that's beautiful to them, right? I mean, I don't know if you have some other ideas, but it's really not a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what culture you come from, these are the things that
Yeah,
people care deeply about, right?
exactly, exactly. And it's nice to see how
Yeah.
it brings the world together. Like,
Yeah.
we're all human beings, like, with the same hearts.
At the end of the
And
day, yes,
emotions.
we all love the picture of the, you know, the baby taking their first steps, or the, you know, or the
Yeah,
cake,
first day of
you know, the
school, or
cake all over their face, or the, yeah, the first day of school, or all of those things are
mm-hmm.
just so meaningful, right? Um,
Yeah,
so tell us a little bit too about what is you're the I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes, some questions. I just want to make sure
yeah,
I
sure.
ask all the questions. That you some of their features and benefits of the photo of
Mm-hmm.
using that, and some of the features that help keep the photos organized, right, once you've actually done a lot of that scanning.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about what happens while you scan, like the automatic and cropping and enhancement. And afterwards, we do give organization tools and annotation tools to help you nurture your scanned library. Um, so every user uses it a bit different. There's some fanatic who like to, like, go through each photo and write, like, add the story behind the photo, who's in it, when it was taken, and assign it to the relevant album. I mean, each one uses another method. I mean, I'm sure a photo organizer is listening to us, watching us, can relate. Well, what can we see here in the background?
Yeah, yeah, the importance, I mean, we
Yeah.
really believe
Oh,
yeah, this the story
I'll
matters.
soon explain. Yeah. What I wanted to show here in this video, maybe we can run it again. We
Mhm.
just recently, in our recent iOS version, released a feature called Magic Tag. Like I was saying, we have the fanatics who manually tag each photo, but most people don't really have the patience to do that. So with Magic Tag, we use Google's Gemini AI engine to try and suggest where the photo was taken and when. So in this video, we can see how the AI just um, identified the location and the year the photo was taken at. So that's a really
It
playful.
actually was able to identify the year as well.
Yeah,
As I understand how it knows location, but that's
it knows, like, it's like the decade, not
the
the
decade, right?
specific.
Because
Like,
it knows, yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. And now, of course, the photo has to have some significant, like, elements that the AI can relate to, like a human brain. Like if the photo is taken outside and there is some element like a specific clothing or architecture
Hmm.
or a street sign, so the machine can try and suggest where and when, and that could help us tag photos which we don't know where they were taken, or we were too young to know, or just, I mean, if we're lazy, so we just use the machine to write the description for us.
Hmm.
So we try to use technology to help people with arranging their photos, but some like to keep photos in album according to specific person or a specific event or location. You can also duplicate the photos and then keep them in different albums. Um, But the more details you give to a photo, then it's easier to find them later and search them for specific reasons, like creating a slideshow for my mom's birthday, so I can find all the pictures of her throughout the years and have that presentation ready in no time.
I have a question about when you add the metadata, we use the term metadata, right? Like, so
Yeah.
you're telling that, does that, when you export the photo from Photomyne, does the metadata that you added in Photomyne stay with the photo?
Well, not really, not inside the file, because then we don't know where the user is going to use the photo later. So, and not every software knows how to present the metadata. But it is a request users ask for. So of course, the best way to enjoy the photos and the metadata is inside the Photomyne platform. We do encourage users to keep the photos in the app and on our web platform and enjoy. But if you still want to export, so you can decide to save the photo with the details, and then we add it like a Polaroid type
you do.
JPEG.
Okay.
Yeah, so then you have the photo and underneath the details, like as a nice Polaroid. And also, if you share the photos like from inside the app, we generate a web link, and then the recipient can see the photos and the details on them.
Oh, great! So if you were sharing a photo and you wanted to ask your sister, like, was this Uncle John? Do you think this is Uncle John? You just share it, right? And it sends them a link. And
and write that.
And then they can tell you, right.
Yeah, and you'd see the details, of course.
Yeah. So that's nice. So it creates that family interaction back and forth around, which is really important as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Even, scanning together is also like a family event, like a scanning party. We do see around holidays an increase in usage. We're coming around Christmas. It's something like really fun to do with family members, scanning together and remembering the moment.
What's a wonderful concept. We know that more and more studies are done around the power of reminiscing. I mean, there's things like therapy, but there's such value in families sharing stories together, and not just always the good stories. I think a lot of times we think, it's supposed to be all the happy times, but life is real. So it's not always all of those things, but that even they say helps build self-esteem in children. The more they understand and builds resilience, right? The more they understand the whole family story. And that's a great way to do that is
exactly
generations sharing family stories about photos and things is wonderful.
Yeah. And with having technology serve that, so we can see like grandkids scanning for their grandparents, and that's really also an activity that can connect generations.
So how many, in terms of like some fun facts, like how many photos are scanned worldwide that you know of? And
so there are about 500 million photos scanned with Photomyne so far.
500 million.
500 million. We feel as if it's just the beginning. There's so many photos that need to be digitized.
I've always tried to get that answer. Do you know how many photos do you have a sense of how many photos there actually still are, analog photos that were out there in the world?
Oh, I think it was like 4 billion.
Something like that, right? It's an astronomical.
Yeah, that's the estimation. I mean, you can't really know, but that's what records say. Yeah. So much work to be done quickly before they're gone. But we see that our on average, like in North America, an average Photomyne user would scan about 500 photos, which it's a big amount for like a non-professional person to scan. So people really use Photomyne for the heavyweight, like the really big scanning projects, like they inherit. It's one of the stories I actually wanted to talk about. They inherit a suitcase, and then they really need a tool to help them go through it in like a reasonable amount of time. Like a flatbed scanner, it could take ages, or like sending it to a scanning service is might be risky or might be really pricey. So when having the scanning tool in the palm of your hand and doing it each time, each album at a time or so, and eventually after a few months you have the project completed. Mm-hmm. And some actually feel they never complete the project because they keep on finding more photos. I mean, you can go to a relative or a friend and find a photo you appear in, and then you keep on adding. Even recent photos can be like relevant to the Photomyne project. Like I'd like to add my kids to my Photomyne account, although I don't need to scan their photos, but I'd like to have the photos along with my parents and grandparents.
Yeah, so that's a good example here of.
Yeah, actually, on our YouTube channel, we have quite a lot of videos like this. We call them Photomyne Presents. We showcase user stories. So this is a story about a couple who inherited a suitcase of the man. His name is David, his grandmother, and they decided to scan the photos and try and find the descendants of the people in the photos. So they opened a Facebook group and uploaded the photos and just asked the people, the relatives which they invited to try and help them tag. You were talking about like using family members to help you identify the people in the photos. So that's what they did with a Facebook group. And then they found the people, the descendants, and mailed the original photos to them. And they were talking about two granddaughters that never knew about each other, and they found out their story through this Facebook group.
Wow.
So Photomyne helped them with this project. Like it becomes something you can actually do with a very simple means without like a huge lab or scanning station. Just you see she does it on her dining table.
Yeah, one of the things is as professional photo managers, a lot of our members scan clients' photos and things for them, but we always say, especially like if there's a flood or a hurricane or a tornado coming and you don't have time to get everything together and get someone to scan it for you, this is a great time to use, Photomyne app is just a great opportunity quickly because there's so many photos are at risk today with weather extremes.
Exactly.
And we just don't want to think about it happening to us, but there's so many stories, right? Almost like that, the family finding we've lots of stories about people, like in a tornado, we'll find like photos 200 miles away or 300 miles away. And a person will like carefully, will scan it or whatever, and then post it. And then we'll be able to return it to the original owner. And it's such an emotional experience.
Yeah. It's like the first thing people want to save. Yeah. Like from a burning house.
Yeah. Once your family and pets are safe, the next
and the photos.
The photos are very high on that list, right next to it. And, because they contain the stories of our lives, right? They're just it's who we are, or who we were, or where we come from, and it's just so vitally important. It's a wonderful gift, and and people ask a lot of times, is AI going to change all that? And I always say, well, what AI can't do though is tell that story. Like AI can identify like where the photo was taken, probably the decade, right? It's actually speeding up the process for us a lot, right? But it can't tell the story of what my son. We have a great story. My son happens to be adopted, and we discovered his birth cousin, a first cousin, through a 23andMe. Like some shock, she said, "How could this be possible?" And we flew her to Connecticut. I have this great photograph, and I would say AI would tell you what the flower. We gave her flowers. It would tell you with facial recognition who they are. It's going to be what the flowers are. It knows where it was taken, what year it was taken. Yeah. In time, I think it'll probably tell us even who the fuzzy people in the background were, but it won't tell them what Joshua felt looking into the face of somebody who looked like him for the first time. Right? That's the story. That's the human part of this whole process. That's really
definitely
makes the difference, right?
Yeah, and I feel a part of the fact that we save the photos, like save them and have them having them accessible is saving them twice, because we can't forget about things that are on our phones. I mean, they're just at the palm of our hands.
I like that too. Right, it's a double reminder, right?
Yeah, because we would never look at them inside the book, but when it's out there, like it can become a screensaver, or I don't know, or just
it's
like a
endless,
splash.
right? It's endless ideas.
Yeah, it's always there, and so.
Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. I know we've got questions coming in. So can we, I think, Rebecca will kind of pop up the questions on our screen. Some I think have been answered, but it's always good to
Sure.
have her answer that too. So Andre asked, can you talk about the resolution of the scans? Are they big enough to print?
Great question. So yeah, the resolution actually depends on some parameters. First is the camera of your phone, the type of phone you're using. The second thing is how you decide to scan. Like if you scan one photo at a time, it will have better resolution, of course, than scanning 2 or 3 at the same time. So it depends. It's speed versus quality. If you plan to print the photos later, so you better scan one by one and have the lighting set properly. So if you use I don't know what Andrea's what phone she's using, but if you're using an iPhone and scan one photo at a time, you can get about 9 megapixels for each photo. With the new iPhones, iPhone 16, it doubles. So you can even reach like 16, 17 megapixels per photo. So that's pretty awesome. And it also depends on the original photo. If the original isn't in good quality, so the scan, there's a certain extent you can enhance it and sharpen it.
Right.
So I think the quality is great. Sometimes the scans look even better than the originals with like all the sharpening, the color correction.
Then somebody else asked, what are the steps involved in scanning slides with your phone?
So it's very similar to scanning photos, but you do need a backlight. So you can either use a light pad like this. We sell these on our Amazon store. And people who don't have a light pad can use the computer screen. Just any white screen could serve as a backlight. If you go to photomyne.com/backlight, we provide a white screen for scanning slides. Pretty simple. And with negative, same. You just need a backlight and the scanner, the correct mode on the app.
On an iPad, you could download like a Lightbox app probably, or you have one. Photomyne that has an app or it has a backlight you can use right from. So if you're on an iPad, right, then it's easier than a phone.
I guess an iPad can work as well. I'm not sure. It maybe had some kind of a grid. Sometimes it looks a bit pixelated if it's really too close to the pad. So the backlights that we saw in the movie are like most suitable for this kind of.
Oh, okay. So actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If a negative has defects, mold spots that don't show up until processed, can the app remove them?
No, we don't have an option to remove elements in the original photo. I guess for that you need to use like real photo editing tools like Photoshop, or even today we have our apps helping users like erase some parts of the photo. But inside Photomyne, we don't have this kind of tool.
And I think you have some offers, right? Some special deals for people who are listening.
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, we have an Amazon store that sells scanning products to help with the scanning process. So for instance, you could find the light pad we just saw, or a phone mount to help with stability. Some like to put the phone mount places in a static location above the album, and then you don't need to hold your shaky hand while scanning. We have tents to help eliminate glare and help with better lighting while scanning. So we offer 30% off any of our products on Amazon with a coupon code. I guess we'll have it on the chat soon. It's Cathi Live 30. That's the coupon code. And we do offer a discount on our membership. Photomyne has a few plans for membership. You can have a monthly, annual, or one-time payment plan. And with a membership at Photomyne all the features are open unlimitedly, including backup. So you can scan any amount of photos and the app will back them up and have the option to log into any device and computer with all of the same account. So we have a coupon code for the $20 discount. You can purchase the membership on our website and enter the coupon code. So all these details, I guess, we can add to the chat soon.
Yeah, they're popping up here. Adding them in, yes. And then, great. And I think Mary asked, explain the cost and the options. So I think, yeah, do you have, just again, run through that a little bit. I think Mary wanted to know.
Yeah, so the annual membership costs $60. The monthly costs $20, and the one-shot plan is $200. That's valid for 10 years, and then you can renew without additional cost. So it's actually a lifetime plan. So as long as you have a membership, your photos are kept inside the platform, and they're safe and easy to manage, and arrange your account and keep on adding scans, unlimited.
I think somebody asked a question about a refund. Can I get a refund if we already joined? Maybe they paid a higher price.
And a refund is usually if you purchase on Apple or Google, so it depends on the platform, and then they usually deal with the refunds. They don't know where he purchased. If he already used.
You do have it available. Rebecca just put the discount is available. You just log in and then use the coupon code at checkout. So,
yeah, the discount is for people who purchase online on our website, and it's specifically for the annual plan. So that's a $20 discount.
Okay. Any more questions, Rebecca? No more questions. Well, this has been a wonderful overview. It's a delight meeting you. I've known your team at Photomyne for a number of years now, and the photo managers, and we have that same passion for photos and helping people tell their stories. And it's been a pleasure always. We got another quick question, but how do you export photos from the app to your own photo manager, which I'm assuming what she means is your app, your Photos app?
So it's really easy. Either save the photos, you can select the whole album and save it to your device, or you can send yourself a link to open it on the website, and then click Save All Photos. You can download it to your computer and do whatever you like with them.
Yeah. As the designer, you've done a great job. It is a very user-friendly.
Thank you.
And that is not easy to do, to make and I'm sure you're always working on.
Always improving.
Always improving based on feedback and user experience, right?
Yeah, an endless process.
Yes, it is endless. It is an endless process, isn't it? So. Yeah,
it's difficult when there isn't any manual that comes with an app, and then people need to understand by themselves what to do. That's not trivial. So what's clear to someone is unclear to the other, and then you need to find something that everybody would understand. So it's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. Great. So for those watching today, also, you can always add questions in the comments and tag Photomyne, and they will respond. So again, for those of you that are watching, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It really means a lot to us to grow our subscriber base and to continue to engage with us, ask questions. We look forward to bringing you. We started our Cathi's Picks Live this year, was our first year, and it's been so popular. We'll be doing it every month next year as well. And it's been a pleasure meeting you. I'm so happy to have met you.
You too.
this point. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, everybody. Remember, those photos tell the stories of your lives. They're really important. And we're all here to support you in this journey of getting those photos out of your closets, drawers, faded albums, under the bed, and back into your life. So thank you, everybody. Have